And I know people don't like to talk about race. People like EuphoricImpact. They consider people like me to um, have tribal thinking or emotional conduct, emotional response as opposed to rationalism. Well, I'm unapologetically black.
Also, before I continue, let me add this to the mix. I was reminded by a close associate that is a professor of history whose concentration happens to be black history, that with respect to history, the term race baiting has almost always been used to give description to the process by which white instigators have aroused white audiences to attack black people, not the other way around. Keep that in mind, okay, as we travel down this road. Blacks are not victims. We just live in a criminal land, a land that has a special home for us. I call it the lowest side of anything. The word victim, with all of these social advocates that I have encountered, appears to have evolved over the years. Never mind if the etymologists have acknowledged this reality or not. I have yet to meet a man who can effectively argue that blacks, specifically the descendant of slaves, have not been a group of people that has not been swindled and has not have a long history within America of suffering from adverse conditions. Why is it anytime someone wants to have a conversation of some intellectual depth regarding reparations, they are labeled socialistic? Angry liberal black people who want to racially divide and conquer the country. Why are they so quick to preach that black Americans must drop their anger? Why is anger an issue? Let's play with this quickly. Okay, if anger did exist, why would it be directed at an innocent person and not those past or present that hold dear to the perverse penchant for servant-master relationships?
And I know people don't like to talk about race. People like EuphoricImpact. So this is really not about whether or not Obama loves America. This is about people applying double standards to the first African American president. Now, I've watched EuphoricImpact's video, and I must say, that video is something else. I mean, it took him 10 minutes to even get to the heart of the matter. I mean, the first 10 minutes was a complete waste of time.
Some people want you to accept that a mere assertion that something is factual makes it so. This can be problematic when dealing with professional liars. Too frequently, we have those who travel the assumptive, emotional, faith-based modes of expression or roads. Tribal instincts put aside, I think those two components are essential to the equation: the land and the naturalized members of the state. We need another ingredient. I think the answer dwells with concepts and ideas. I do. Surely, as Americans, we should be able to make meaningful connections to the noble principles this land was supposedly founded upon. I am speaking of things like equality before the law, human rights, representative government, freedom, etc. By living up to these principles, we can honor the land and show an authentic connectedness to other Americans. So, if we define love as a strong positive emotion of affection and regard, then I think positive commitment would show the way.
See, this is something that Euphoric Impact just doesn't understand. It's like this guy goes out of his way to find a small little insignificant point and magnify it, amplify it, and make it into something that it's not. These presidents, most of them, have supported imperialism. In fact, the reason why they're calling Obama out is because he's not as much of an imperialist as they want him to be. This guy, Euphoric Impact, he spent all this time talking about all these bad policies of the president that are a display of his lack of love or empathy for the American people. But he conveniently forgot to mention many policies that benefit the American people. He conveniently omitted that. He conveniently failed to discuss Obamacare, so-called Obamacare as an example. Many more people are insured as a result of so-called Obamacare. Many people who were not able to be insured now have health insurance as a result of Obamacare. If that's not an example of caring and compassion for fellow Americans, I don't know what is. See, I refuse to put blinders on and ignore the racial realities in this country. I will continue to speak truth to power without fear.
Hello, YouTube. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to another edition to my Get Real series. Here, I do not censor myself. Here, speaking truth to power is a matter of course. Here, I compose videos that do not cater to the whims of others. This video will not be scripted. You are welcome to leave your respectfully presented dissenting views in the comment section or by replying via video. It is interesting that the concept of inspiration and content acting as motivation for further exploration is difficult to grasp. This particular video is a reply to New Possibilities video, my response to Euphoric Impact, yours truly, which was in response to my last video, Obama So Loved the... My last video was sparsely inspired by New Possibilities video, Giuliani, Obama, and Racist Hysteria. Admittedly, I found it odd he settled on the position he selected. Diversity of thought is always intriguing. That said, there is such a thing called a personal validation fallacy. A fortune teller often will dazzle observers using broad terms based on a simple assessment of another. This allows lies like,
and I know people don't like to talk about race, people like Euphoric Impact,
to occur. Also, the double whammy of it functioning to poison the well is noted. This is not a jab, but let's keep it real. This functions as an unmanly attempt, yes, unmanly attempt, to cut the ground from under my feet, poisoning via circumstantial avenues. You see, in the marketplace of ideas, you can frequently see maneuvers made that subtly or forcefully function to turn the public's mind against another. This said, I hope we can leave the posturing and schoolyard antics where they belong, away from this interaction. This does not mean that it will not be hard-hitting and in your face. It simply means that it will be done with class. One may select, in any appraising process of thought, to adopt the set of criteria which we later use to judge fact claims. This said, the central thing to keep in mind here is that by rational people, these criteria are not chosen to correspond to what beliefs they wish to hold. Also, if I make an argument against the man, it serves only to bring light to credibility. The man isn't slang for white person. The man is whoever I am addressing. In this case, we are speaking of new possibilities. However, if I make an argument against him in light of his credibility, this does not excuse me from addressing the soundness of a logical argument or position. Keep this in mind. A belief is an idea that is held based on some support, even if that support is the result of prior fabrication by one who needs one to believe as they do. This will serve as a lead-in to this. To use the purposeful cognitive distortion of magnification here, as it relates to double standards, is misleading and a well-constructed diversion. What Giuliani said indeed was callous and meant to stir the pot. This does not mean that since he was directing this from racial antipathy, jealousy, external instruction, or whatever motivation he had, that the claim was invalid. Remember what I stated earlier about judging fact claims. This said, Giuliani was never my focus. What partially makes asking if Obama loves America valid is that he is the president. His office should not provide potential cover for one that may be in conflict. Also, his policies are not consistent with one that loves the noble principles America supposedly promotes. As I stated in my previous video, it is the opposite, suggesting he loves America because he imitates former scumbags, former miscreants, former murderers, is only suggesting he conforms to tradition. This would primarily be the tradition of imperialism and acting as a proxy or puppet for the true neo-feudal lords, as well as the Zionist Bolshevik banksters. Again, I must reiterate and expand upon previous exchanges taken from your comment section. Your attempt to direct your audience away from Obama's treacherous actions is irresponsible. Yes, let's acknowledge, yet not explore. We do not want to reinforce part of my opponent's central focus. Yeah, that would be you, talking about me. Where is the show of integrity? Where is it? Yes, you stated you addressed these concerns in former blogs. Okay, great. Yet you turn a blind eye during this conversation. You turn a blind eye to him, not being in accord with noble pursuits that are intrinsically linked via projection of the American image that so many people around the world has digested, even in today's imperialistic state of mind. It is not about the achievement of a perfected state. I am not holding him to some lofty standard. Where is it lofty to be decent? Where is it lofty to be law-abiding when you are supposedly one who is infatuated with constitutional realities? Huh? This is your aligned belief. This is your way of casting attention away from your reasoning failures that should be discarded like yesterday's trash. An articulated exercise as you travel towards the goal of saving face. After looking down, you sidestep the Bush Jr., Clinton, and Bush Sr. traditions. This clearly is disdain for America, but love for corporatism, love for fascist wet dreams, love for kleptocratic realities via electronic manacles. Then you use the poor reasoning that because other presidents did this, that Obama's actions are in accord. Therefore, he loves America. Therefore, this proves his love. Double standards are satellite issues for me, not the focus, nor does it need to be. I have already addressed double standards many, many times. Also, I do not have to speak of the positive he has done. I made it clear my purpose was to show my objection to his claim of love. Even a dictator can be concerned with public relations at times. Even a king may desire the praise of his people. I suggest whatever positive he has achieved is overshadowed by the cesspool he wallows in daily, the special interest he obeys, and his passion to outdo Bush Jr., etc. So stop. Stop with your sloppy claims of me disqualifying the positive. His actions are noted, but are impotent when determining love for country. You praised Obamacare. Outwardly, it was framed to be the next best thing since sliced bread. Of course, it helps to a degree. I will have to admit people have been assisted by this program. It is hard to promote a clunker if you cannot get it to run. As an attorney, I am sure you comprehend the need to shape the perception of the jury. Speaking of Obamacare, one can claim the legislation provided affordable health care choices, that this bill shows caring and compassion for fellow Americans. Let's explore the way it was marketed to the public. It was deemed to be affordable. Affordable is an interesting term, don't you think? It includes in scope more than digital, paper, and coin currency. How affordable is a plan that appears to be a convenient cover, a cover for massive transfer of power to the executive branch. Do your homework and get back to me on that one. I have read the entire House Bill 3200, the entire bill. Certain parts I read 3 or 4 times to make sure that I understood what was pertinent to me. Yep, Obama so loved America that he allowed a bill to be constructed that will eventually have all decisions about personal health care to be ultimately made by federal bureaucrats. One has to ask, how affordable is this? Yes, he surely understands the suffering of the common man who, after rent or mortgage payments, stresses often over health care coverage, over his or her greatest burden. How compassionate Obamacare's Independent Payment Advisory Board is. Actually, it isn't. Actually, it is akin to a death panel. After all, appointed bureaucrats are bestowed life and death powers. They can cut essential care when most needed. Yep, he really sold the American people a bill of goods when it is obvious that it is unrealistic. Listen, unrealistic to believe his plan could provide universal and affordable health care in a system which is dominated by private insurers and big pharma. He is so caring that he turned his back on rational motive for an action that truly benefits the common man. You see, one who loves their country, would construct a bill that provides a universal health care system that delivers equitable, comprehensive, compassionate, and high quality care with free choice of provider and no financial barriers to access. This plan is woefully inadequate. Obamacare leaves millions uninsured. It leaves millions more way underinsured. It makes former U.S. health care more than ever unaffordable. This plan required buying insurance or be penalized. Do this or be penalized. In 2014, it's $95 per person, up to 1% of family income, whichever is greater. Of course, the fines increase sevenfold. Did I say sevenfold? Over the next 2 years. Even if you want to nitpick and determine that I am slightly incorrect and it was fivefold or fourfold, it is still significantly higher. Look at the projection for 2016. It's $695, if I remember correctly, per person, up to 2.5% of income, whichever is greater. And get this, exemptions, well, they apply for individuals and families meeting these requirements. If they are prisoners, if they belong to a recognized religious sect that rejects health insurance coverage, and or belonging to a recognized health sharing ministry. Oh, and let's not forget the undocumented aliens. Let's make motions retrograde, shall we? Let's make motions retrograde to the federal bureaucrats. Do you think these federal bureaucrats are mostly healthcare professionals that have not sold out to the healthcare industry, but honors true medical practice, true healing arts? Yes, it's love and a bargain when hospital administrations, payments to physicians, and allocations of necessary medical devices are strictly controlled by the government. Yes, that's love. Do your homework. I cannot take your position on Obama seriously, knowing that you would be so lazy to just spit out that tripe and expect for your audience and for me to buy into it. Really, I expected more from you because you said that you spoke truth to power. It doesn't matter my expectations. I'm holding your feet to the fire because you projected yourself as a man of honor. So how can you come to me talking about how great Obamacare is and other things that I'm not going to even address because I would just be speaking to a brick wall. I do not care if you agree with me. I just expected that you would be truthful. And that doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. That means that you have to conform to actuality. Put aside the talking points and look deeply. When you look closely, it is a plan to enrich drug companies, to enrich insurers, to enrich large hospital chains. Yeah, the clunker runs now because it appears affordable. However, anyone paying close attention will see it allows providers to escalate cost. The plan is market-based for profit and regulation light. Loopholes, loopholes upon more loopholes upon more loopholes that benefit business at the expense of ordinary people. Yeah, that's love. Fact is, this time we have a left-wing rabble-rouser who promised hope and change, but actually represents policies that are qualitatively worse than the neocons. If war was not enough, he can deliver Europe as a dispensable asset. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just move on. Anyone that looks at world power knows the heaviest concentration lies in China and Russia. Where is all of the tension coming from these days, huh? He, Obama, President Obama, is nothing but a puppet of finance capital for the worst possible feeding ground of miscreant and monsters. Things that go bump in the night and that are truly scary. He was financed by Priorities USA Action. That's the super PAC that backed President Barack Obama's re-election. Do you remember them? I'm speaking of George Soros' baby, and he committed approximately $1 million to that PAC. Yeah, and you want to tell me that this puppet who has his strings pulled by a billionaire hedge fund operator, a true globalist, is not seeking favors, does not have expectations, and not just him, but others who financially have manipulated nations that can affect the ultimate agency of nations and their currencies. Yeah, he loves America like a dictator loves the uninformed, like the dictator loves a sycophant. If the general tendencies of his policies are drawn to their ultimate conclusion, we will have a savage reduction in the standard of living like we have never seen before. And it will only be hardened by the next corporate official who takes his place. It is not too far-fetched to say that his actions are pushing the U.S. to an impoverished state, that it is slowly but surely ridding us of our middle class. And he so loves America and its supposed noble values. I can only anticipate, at the rate at which our conversation has progressed thus far, I can only anticipate a propaganda choreography from you. A choreography that continues to equate his current aggression, his move away from hope and change, to shock and awe, as love for America. This is the dance that I have to look forward to, surely, from you, based on your past performance. How sick. How sick. At least Obama wears many masks. One of those masks hides effectively from many his warmongering ways. You essentially say another day at the office, right? Oh goodness. With Obama in office, the U.S. bureaucratic resistance to imperial overstretch is as likely as Hillary Clinton being considered a beauty queen. He is no heir to a proud legacy of freedom. No, his contributions will not be seen as love, but a legacy of violent extremism and reinvigorated hegemonic ambitions. Now that we know he never loved America, question becomes what to do about it. Frankly, I am too tired to lay pearls before the unworthy. And I'm not speaking of you, New Possibilities. I'm speaking of others that are listening, that think that this passion that I am showing, that me calling you to task, is just two black men fighting amongst each other. So I am speaking about not laying pearls before those swine, at least not on today. Maybe another day. Thank you all for listening. Be well, and New Possibilities. Thank you for listening. You may be infuriated with certain words that I have used. You may think that I have been disrespectful to you, that I have attacked you. I guarantee you that if you knew me, that the words that I would select would be vastly different if I was attacking you. I am attempting to lay forth my reasoning in hopes that even though you and I will not agree, that we can agree to disagree, maybe even distill some of the things that we may agree upon, and then find a likely road that may help us to communicate to others ways in which they can contribute to our existence in a positive light. With that said, thank you all for listening again. Be well.